So I'm curious to know, what do you ask God for in prayer? Well, if you're in traffic, sitting at a traffic light like here on Lancaster, you might ask God, God, please let this thing turn green. God, please let these people move so I can get through this light and not have to wait through another red. If you're in school, if you're in a program, if you're at work and things are really stressful, you might ask God, God, please help me just get through this day. You might even be watching the news at night or reading things on your phone when alerts come through and you see what's going on in the world, and you might ask God, God, please, could there just be peace? God, could you just bring some order to the chaos, calm to the storm that swirls around us? What do you ask for? I'm curious if you ever think that maybe sometimes those prayers, they come from a deep place in your heart, but do you ever imagine that God could actually answer those prayers in particular ways that make a difference? There's this amazing letter in the New Testament called Ephesians. And in Ephesians, the author writes to the audience and says, now to the God who is able to do more. In fact, he says, immeasurably more than all you could ever ask or imagine, according to the power of God at work in us. This is the author reminding that audience, reminding us that yes, in fact, God can not just answer our prayers, but God can do immeasurably more than all we could ever ask or imagine. Not just because God wants to flex, but because God actually is wielding divine power through us, you, me. Well, this Sunday, we're kicking off a new sermon series that's going to be called Immeasurably More. It's also the theme of our new pledge campaign. This is kind of the period where we ask folks to prayerfully discern how much they can give in the coming year, so 2026, and that helps us shape a budget for 2026. So not only do we want you to be thinking about how much can I give financially next year, but we want you to be discerning, prayerfully discerning. What am I asking God to do with these gifts, financial gifts, with the gifts of my service, the gift of my work, the gift of how I'm showing up for my family? What am I asking God for in my life and in the life of my church family and in my world? And then we want to open ourselves, open our imagination, open our faith to the radical possibility that God could do immeasurably more. It's a pretty exciting time to consider a pretty exciting God together. We'll see you in church.